Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle. I'm here with Alaina Huffman at Shore Leave 43. You might know her from Supernatural, Smallville, Stargate, Painkiller Jane. The list goes on and on. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm glad to be here with you and chatting. You've played heroic characters, Smallville, and Stargate, and then there was Supernatural. Which do you kind of gravitate towards, being more heroic or more villainous?
Honestly, I find joy in all of it. I know that's kind of a lame answer, but there's the villain stuff is a lot of fun, but so is the vulnerability of a character like TJ in Stargate. I mean, when I first started on Stargate, she kind of annoyed me because she was I can't do anything. And then I really learned a lot from her personally. Whereas Abaddon gave me a lot of confidence personally in my life. And then my character on the 100, Nikki, and my character the last 2 seasons of Riverdale, I played the same character, but very different incarnations of her. And I just always have fun with whatever I'm sort of working with.
Well, that's great. Actually, yeah, Riverdale is one that I flew out of my head. I don't know why. Yes, you have quite a extensive IMDb.
Thank you. I say I've earned my geek cred.
And you've been in a lot of genre things. Do you find, what's your approach? Is it different with genre as opposed to non-genre stuff?
I don't know. It just kind of happened to me, so I don't fight it. I feel like I lend. I'm tall. I have a low voice, so I feel like I lend to these sort of strong characters that happen to be portrayed in genre television. I auditioned for a lot of other shows too. It just kind of has been my trajectory.
Well, we're glad you're on this trajectory. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Me too.
With the different sets, I know some sets are you need to go by the lines, no improv, and some shows are if you want to do another take and take it a different direction, we're open to that. Which shows have been more loose and which have been more you need to read the line as written?
The 100 was a word perfect show. That's what we call that type of show. And when you stick to a script, particularly when there's such a huge ensemble, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. So, we're in a strike right now. The writers are on strike, and they do so much work, and we wouldn't have an industry without them. So I always try to honor the words. That being said, there's some really creative actors who are talented and funny, and so to do improv for them is such a craft. I don't feel like I have that gift, so I'm always I'm just going to stick to the script. Supernatural was a little more loose. Stargate was a little more loose. But again, there's very specific moments that you kind of can't be loose on because it pays off next season, or it was threaded in 4 episodes ago. And so, as actors, sometimes we come on set and we're like, oh, the words don't fit in my mouth, sometimes we say. And if the writer's on set, they can give you leeway to make it work for yourself. But for the most part, I try to stay to the words. The writers are good at what they do. I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, and definitely, without a good story, you can act, and it is a collaborative effort with the writers and then the editors later on. Has there ever been a particular scene that you didn't think you did very well at, and then you saw it later and you were like, what possessed me? How did I do so well?
I feel like that happens a lot with auditions. You kind of go you walk out of there I don't know what I was thinking. I bombed, whatever, and then you get the job. I don't have a specific moment, but there's definitely been times in my career where I'm like, what am I doing? And I just tried in those moments to really be present and have fun and enjoy it, because you can't control everything. And sometimes this last season of Riverdale, my character goes from being a gang leader to being a prostitute. And I was like, how? So I just wanted to make sense of it. So the thing is, you want to do a good job. You want to show up and do your best work. And if you don't really understand why or how your character arrived, that's when you collaborate. That's when you ask questions. Sometimes the director doesn't know because they're just in for the episode. So hopefully there's a writer around or the showrunner or the producing director that can answer those questions. So yeah, there's moments where I feel like I bomb, but I try to prevent it by utilizing the team.
Yeah, gang leader to it does seem like a demotion, you know.
I'm just like, what's the motivation? How? It's a different realm. So, but that's all I needed to be told. It's like, oh, they don't have, one has nothing to do with the other. We just jumped. It's like a loop. I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. Yeah.
Now, going a bit further back, you didn't have a lot of episodes on Smallville, but you were a great Black Canary. What was that experience like, especially with that rather tight costume?
It's very short. Yeah. Well, at first when I auditioned for it, it was a blind audition. Like they gave me spec sides, meaning I didn't know who the character was. I was very new to genre television. I didn't know what all of this was yet. And so when I got the job, that was an audition. In fact, I knew I killed. Like I walked out of that. Again, I had no idea it was the character. It was just kind of a random character. And I walked out and I was like, if they don't hire me, that's okay, because I feel like I did great work in there. And then, of course, I got the job. My agent called and was like, so you got this job. It's on Smallville, but they can't tell you who the character is. And I was like, so how am I supposed to prepare? And it's shot in Vancouver. I lived in Los Angeles at the time. So they finally broke down and told me who the character was, but I had to sign an NDA. And they said the Black Canary. So I Googled her and I was like, oh my God, her costume is so small. That was my first thought. I was like, how is she going to fight in that thing? But they custom made my costume. I don't know. I loved it. I wish there was like a behind the scenes of superheroes getting ready. Michael Shanks and I have talked about this because honestly, this shit is ridiculous. Can I swear? Sorry.
You may.
Okay. Justin Hartley, who played the Green Arrow on our show, he wore that hood. He was miserable when he was dressed. Like we always laugh because he's like, huh? I can't hear anybody with his hood on. And like me getting into my costume is like the least bit stealthy. Like, it's funny. Being prepared to be these like heroic characters is really ridiculous.
Well, I did see you on a panel with a number of other Smallville people, and there was something about Thanksgiving with Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah, did that ever... I know at the panel you were talking about, well, now we can get together for Thanksgiving. Did that ever happen?
No. I've not been to Michael Rosenbaum's for Thanksgiving yet.
Has he invited you on Inside of You yet?
No, we've talked about it a few times. Like if I have if I'm in LA or something and we can connect. But no, I have not yet been on his podcast. Or Talkville. I think that one maybe I'd go on before Inside of You. I'll go on both, but.
All right, so if you're watching, Michael, Rosie.
Oh, call me.
With all the various roles and entering into the genre community, other than obviously you get paid for these roles, but what has the benefit been of being in more, how has it benefited or changed your life being in more like supernatural or science fiction style or superhero style roles? I don't really have a reference point otherwise, so I don't have anything to compare it to, but I do know that it's been very impactful in my life. It's taken me around the world. It's connected me with people in every corner of the world. Like I'm always really grateful for conventions because I feel like it's less about us and it's more about the community that's created. And to me, it's so beautiful. And it definitely, there's a dark side. There can be, but we've raised, for Supernatural, for example, our Supernatural family, we've raised tons of money for charity. We've done so many good things. I've seen people meet in front of my table that bonded on the internet over a show, and they're from different continents and they're meeting in Philadelphia, and I just happened to witness it. Like it's changed my life profoundly in an emotional way. It's given me a lot of strength. It's given me just a beautiful foundation. I'm incredibly grateful for this genre world that I never even knew. Well, we're glad that you're now part of it. Is there any projects that you can discuss that might be coming out soon or that you're going to be working on? I know there's a writer's strike.
Yeah, no, I just finished a movie, non-genre, very non-genre. It's about Marlon Brando's life, and it's called Waltzing with Brando. It's with Billy Zane, John Heder, and myself. So I'm really excited about that one. We just finished. We shot in Tahiti for the month of May, and thankfully we were shooting during the strike, but we had already greenlit before the strike, so we we're fine to shoot. And I just finished 2 seasons of Riverdale, and that show's over. I'm really putting my focus on producing and directing. So I have a movie I'm producing right now. I'm going to announce that soon. Again, we're waiting for the writer's strike to get our final script notes in. And then I have a project that's very dear to me that I am directing. I'm in the final stages of raising money for. And it was brought to me by a dear friend of mine I started my career with. And he passed away a couple of years ago. So I'm excited to tell that story as well.
I'm sure that's a great way to honor his memory.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I got the support from the supernatural world there. So.
Okay. Now, is there anything that I know we got to wrap up. Anything you want to say to your fans before we go?
Thank you, everybody, for continuing to show up. I think I can speak for a lot of people who do these conventions. You know, when people show up, we can show up. I feel like it's our version of touring. And you know, I've been touring on these shows that we make these shows in a dark warehouse, you know, in the middle of winter, sometimes 20 years ago, and people have fond memories. Stargate is so special to me. I will see people who come to the show with, you know, a kid towering over his dad, and he's like, we started watching the show when he was, you know, a baby because we had to stay home on Friday nights, and then it became a family thing, so you're like part of their family. This is so sweet. I love it. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it all.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alaina, for spending this time with us, and everyone out there, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have fun and follow your fandom.
Hi, this is Michael Shanks, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The fate of the universe may depend on it. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.